operations and bring them to a successful outcome that benefits all who live in our community and visit our community as well. Amen.
Amen. If you'll remain standing and join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd like to call to order the Tourist Development Council meeting for November 5th, 2025. And at this time, I'd like the introductions of the TDC. If we'll start down here with Mr. Porter.
Neil Porter, Accommodations.
Debbie Beal, Citizens, Keystone Heights.
Kim Evans, Accommodations.
John Scromolo, Clay County Commissioner, District 1.
Brian Knight, Citizen.
David Diaz, Citizen.
Adrian Andrews, Citizen.
Sherry Starnes, Councilwoman for Green Cove Springs.
Staff, if you want to introduce yourself.
Teddy Meyer, Tourism Director.
Samantha Costers, Product Development Manager.
Cher Malta, Tourism Marketing Manager.
All right, well, welcome everyone in the audience to our meeting today. We're very happy that you're here to join us. And also a big welcome to our newest member, Ms. Starnes from the Green Cove City Council. We're happy you're here, so welcome. So moving on to our public comment portion of the meeting, if anyone would like to address the TDC, please feel free to approach the podium. Also, if you, just for the record, if you don't feel comfortable coming up to the podium, we have comment cards out in the lobby. So if there is an agenda item that you want to let us know you're either your support or oppose, you can also submit those to us as well. Last chance for the first public comment section. Seeing none, we will move on into the agenda. Agenda item number 1, the approval of the minutes for the TDC meeting from September 3rd, 2025.
I'll motion to approve those as is.
We have a motion for approval by Brian Knight.
I'll second.
Second by Neil Porter. All in favor of approval of the TDC minutes from September 3rd, 2025, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. Moving on to presentations, item number 2 is going to be Teddy Meyer, the Wheel the World program. Teddy.
So Cher's going to give the presentation on Wheel of the World, and we've got some audience members that are going to be involved in the presentation.
Oh, okay, great.
There we go.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Good evening. My name is Cher. I am the Tourism Marketing Manager, and I have some exciting news on a project that we completed in partnership with the Wheel of the World. We were able to collaborate with 30 local businesses around Clay County that included attractions, restaurants, activities, and parks. Oops, okay, there we go. For those unfamiliar, Wheel the World is a global travel platform online that helps people with various abilities plan and book their accessible experiences. The problem that they're solving is one that impacts millions globally. Often information is unreliable, inconsistent, and not available for those with disabilities online. And on top of that, these disabilities differ for every traveler. Not to mention that this is a huge opportunity to get into the niche of a global market where 30% of people in the US alone have some type of various ability that represents $58 billion in the market. I keep going backwards, here we go. So their platform has destinations, hotels, restaurants, and activities. It allows for people to filter by their specific needs, such as wheelchair access, visual or hearing support, or cognitive abilities. And by partnering with them, we've made Clay County part of a trusted international platform, giving travelers detailed accessibility information before they even arrive. So here's a look at what our landing page on wheeltheworld.com actually looks like. You can see that we have hotels, activities, and restaurants. And within each of these links is a list of different activities. And in total, right now, we have 30. And this is just another view of what that looks like on their website. So what our destination has achieved is accessibility information that's organized, simple, and in addition to that, everyone who is partnered with us has accessible training for all of their employees. So these are the municipalities and organizations that participated in the program, and their willingness to open up their doors and allow Wheel the World assessors to come in and assess the properties made it accessible, and their willingness to do that makes Clay County more inclusive. So with that being said, I will open it up for questions.
Questions?
Okay, great.
Also, I got one.
Okay, go ahead.
So training. So you mentioned, first off, this is awesome, and I'm really appreciative of staff for taking this on. Also, just for the visibility of the public, we also have on the county website, we've added Clay Without Barriers. If you go to claycountygov.com and click on community, you can see our another list of parks, programs, and events in Clay County that are accessible for people with special needs. So this is great. Through this, you mentioned training, people that partner with us. Is that the list of those partners can get that training, or any business in Clay County? What does that look like?
Yes, so every business who partnered through Wheel the World has access to their own partner portal. So within their partner portal, Wheel the World has provided training, which is, I believe it's course videos that they can provide to each of their employees. And it just gives them more details on how to better serve people with different abilities into their organization. And then at the end, they even get a certificate.
Nice. And then I guess my next question would be, is there like a follow-up period, or will we do this again if there's some people that are following along that are like, man, I'd love for my business to do this? How does that
Yes.
work?
So if your business has FOMO, fear of missing out, you are able, so right now we have 30. If we get, let's say 5 or 10 more, we can do incrementally, invite Wheel the World back to come and assess those sites again. So that I guess it's kind of like a subscription, but it renews annually. And if we don't renew, it's fine, but we can always come back and let them come and assess the destination. Our landing page lives on there forever.
Okay, great. Yeah, I think definitely this is something that like the chamber would be all over. You know, if we brought that to the chamber and said, hey, we're doing this, and kind of give them advance notice, they have a big net, you know, especially from a business perspective. So any other questions? All right, great work. Good job.
So at this time, I'd like to invite any organizations or businesses from the audience to come up and take a photo with the board. We have their window clings to set up at their site so that they can indicate that they are a destination verified location within Clay County.
Awesome. So if the members of the council will meet me down in front of the dais, we'll take a photo.
Yes, thank you.
Obviously, you would want to pose. Is this
Moving on to item number 3 is the Advanced Travel and Tourism Marketing Update.
All right, thank you. My name is Kyle Sticktonot. I'm the Senior Director for Advanced Travel and Tourism, full-service marketing agency. We've been working with the Clay County team for quite some time. Joined you guys remotely last time. Happy to be here in person, so for you guys can look me in the face, ask questions, we can get to know each other a little better, all that good stuff. So with that, we will kind of walk through things at a high level. What I want to do is sort of deconstruct our overall strategy and approach to marketing for tourism in Clay County. We try to take a very strategic, business-minded approach, right? Our goals here, how do we drive overnight visitation? How do we make just all the things in the community more vibrant and accessible to not only people outside, but also residents that are more local, understanding what's going on there. So we'll walk through just the general approach here. We try to look at the overall travel buying cycle, much like a marketing funnel in sales would be, with this dream, plan, book, and share sort of model wheel, where we're trying to create awareness of what's going on in Clay County, what you guys have to offer, give potential visitors something to understand, explore, plan around, and then from there, making it easy for them to book and enjoy a stay here, then complete the circle with content that, does the same thing over and over again. So as we look at our approach for Clay County specifically, understanding like what is the story here? Why do people come and visit? What we wanted to really, highlight and showcase is the natural beauty that you guys have. You guys are not a concrete Florida. You're a natural, beautiful, outdoor activity-driven Florida. More of a laid-back vibe. You've got history. You've got cool outdoor activities, St. Johns River, all the water that's here. That's the appeal that really can drive people in. So understanding that and then building a marketing and messaging plan that takes a look at how do we create awareness, how do we create excitement, how do we create action, right? And then repeat the cycle over and over again. First thing we want to really do is understand the audience that's out there. We use a variety of tools to do this. We've got a bunch of different data sources, but a tool that we've talked about before, and you can see some screenshots of here, is Placer AI. It is a mobile device visitation measurement monitoring tool. So as your mobile phones travel with you, it is tracking your movements and understanding where you're coming from, where you're going, so on and so forth. So the first part of this on the screen, the upper suburban diverse families and blue collar suburbs, that's just some of the psychographic information, the profiles, if you will, of the devices that come to Clay County. We have to understand who's coming and then what do they care about, right? So getting a basic profile of who the visitor looks like allows us to refine targeting and messaging and all of those things. Below that, you'll see the top 20 visitor origin markets. You can see a little bit of the heat map on there. No surprise that Orlando is a big driver to here, right? Miami is a big driver. The darker the purple, the more you can see some secondary markets with Tallahassee and Atlanta. When people visit here, those are the top places that they're coming from. So on the left-hand side is sort of our overview on an audience targeting approach. We take this information that we glean from there, obviously talking with the local team here to understand that audience is the next part of that. And we've got two basic groups here. One is families, and then two is outdoor activity or people that enjoy doing outdoor activities. Those are the main two audiences, and then you can see the group of destinations that are our prime target markets that we're going after. So if we understand who, next thing we have to understand is what do we tell them? What do we communicate to them? So as we look at the messaging and break this down, again, it's those two buckets of a family audience and an outdoor audience. And there's overlap in those because families like to do outdoor things too, right? But we want to make sure we're showcasing families doing those things. We want to make sure we're showcasing the natural beauty. A few months ago, we had WinGuard come in and do a photo shoot. You can see a lot of those images making its way into this, showcasing Clay County in a very authentic way for folks, right? So those are the two messages that we lead with across the variety of platforms that we're going after our marketing messaging with. But there's a lot of channel options out there, right? So this wheel represents all of the many things advanced travel and tourism can do. It's not limited to this, but these are the most common ones. It used to be pretty easy. You could place some ads in some newspapers and buy some local TV and everybody would see your message. And now it's, some people are on TikTok and some people are on social and some people are using ChatGPT to find stuff. The fragmentation is crazy, right? So our job is to figure out what are going to be the most effective channels for Clay County in reaching the people that matter most and are most likely to be visitors for you. So the channels that we have focused in on our campaign are some tried and true ones that really do perform. Online display, video ads, audio ads, social media, and email. And we'll walk through just a high level of what we're doing with those, how they work, and the results that we've seen over the quarter of Q3. So as we look at our Q3 performance on online display, and this is any of the ads that you would see on websites. So you go on the internet to look at blogs around cooking or outdoor adventure or fishing or news sites or entertainment sites, and you see those little square ads on there. That's what we're doing here, right? We're targeting it to, again, people who are either families looking to potentially travel, outdoor enthusiasts across a variety of different websites. And we measure it in a few ways. You'll see impressions, clicks, and CTR, the stats that we have on here. Impressions is simply an ad that was served to somebody. There's a person on a computer or a phone, they see an ad, that counts as one impression. So over Q3, we served almost 3 million impressions there. Of those 3 million impressions, 33,000 people clicked on those ads. That to us is a really good signal that we've got alignment with who we're targeting, the message that's there, because they're clicking through at a really high rate. The industry benchmark for that is a 0.1 to a 0.2 click-through rate. We're at a 0.1 or a 1.13 click-through rate on our ads. So we're getting really good engagement, which is great. Our goal on this is really just to create awareness. This is no different than a bunch of billboards on the side of the road. The clicks here is really a bonus of getting people to come to the website where they can explore further. The next thing that we are doing is some video ads. This is a combination of two different places. YouTube, which is, believe it or not, the second largest search engine in the world. It's also a social media platform for a lot of folks who use it that way, but also streaming video. So when you're watching shows on your TV and you're using a streaming app like a Hulu or a YouTube TV, you're getting ad placement there as well. Again, our target on this is families and outdoor enthusiasts, but our goal here is really just, are they watching the videos that we're serving? You can see that we delivered 750,000 video views on these two platforms. And our goal necessarily isn't clicks. It's hard to click on a TV, right? There are some ways to do that, and especially within YouTube, there are ways that you can click within the platform. But our goal here is that people are watching the videos. That's one of my favorite ringtones. It makes me want to go on a vacation. It's great. The completion rate here is at 94.3%, which is above the industry benchmark of about 90%. So we're doing a great job there, creating just awareness of Clay County as an option for people to go explore and have a good outdoor laid-back adventure. Same premise with streaming audio. So you're probably familiar with platforms like Spotify or Pandora where people can stream their favorite music or podcasts. Spotify is a platform that we use here to go after those same people. So when you're listening to your podcast or driving to work and listening to stuff, we're able to sneak in ads to them about what's going on in Clay County. 283,000 impressions or ads were delivered to people on these platforms during Q3. We got 165 clicks, which is great, but again, the goal here is, are they listening? Are we delivering the ad to the right people? And we're doing a really good job of that. So happy with the way that this campaign is performing as well. And then finally, we'll take two more things. Social media. This is where, if we talked about that wheel, the first part be dream, this is where we kind of dive deeper into the plan. Social media gives us more real estate to tell stories, right? The depth goes deeper. You also have people that are, in theory, in a place where they've got time, right? If you're on social media, it's usually because you've got time to kill. So we're able to do more blog content, more deeper content, more event-specific content on this platform. We use Facebook and Instagram as the two main that we drive. They're still the most common, and you may hear about other platforms, and we always explore those things, but Facebook and Instagram allow us to reach most of the people that are out there. Again, our targeting is still the same. We're looking at families and outdoor enthusiasts. But our goals here get a little bit deeper. We want engagement. We want people to be consuming, sharing, posting, commenting. Those sort of things is really important for us. So as we look at the measurement tools here, certainly we're looking at how many ads do we serve. 1.8 million, 1.9 million almost in this case. And you see almost 50,000 link clicks driving into not only your social media page, but also your Clay County Explore Clay County website as well. On that wheel, you can see sort of how we measure the engagement. The dark blue is post reactions. So that's sometimes it's a thumbs up, a heart, all the different options that you have there. 192 people saved the post. 356 people shared the post to their feeds. And of course, we're looking at comments on that as well. So our goal here is engagement. We work closely with the Clay County tourism team to understand what do we need to be posting on there. They do a great job with coming up with great organic content that we can then take and push out to people in those outer markets to understand what's going on here. Finally, as we look at email marketing from a tactic perspective, first of all, I just love the professional look and feel of this. I talked about the WinGuard photo shoot that we did. You can see some great images that we're using here to really communicate a high level of what is going on here within Clay County. When we're looking at targeted email, what we're doing is trying to identify what are markets that we can go after to tell a compelling story about escaping and coming and enjoying Clay County. Orlando is one that we have really focused in on because we've seen strong performance out of it. This is a contrast to what you experience in Orlando with traffic jams and concrete and big mouse ears, right? That's not here, right? And people that live in Orlando want to escape that a lot. So this is a campaign that's driven almost a 40% open rate. The industry benchmark on email marketing open rate is about 17 to 30%. So we're exceeding that significantly. Again, this is an example of great messaging, great targeting, and understanding what's going to appeal to people. So we've got good alignment there, which is driving the results that we want. 27,000 people open the email, 825 clicks within that to come to the Clay County website, and it's driving the engagement we want, telling a story about a way to get away and find a chill, calm, relaxing escape to Clay County. So those are some of the tactics we do at a high level. There is not one way to do marketing, right? There's a lot of right ways. Our job is to constantly evaluate what we're seeing from a performance perspective, working closely with Samantha, Cher, and Teddy to understand what does that look like, what are we seeing, and then make adjustments there. I always joke we'll come up with a 12-month plan, but if we don't adjust the plan, then we're not doing a good job evaluating the data and making smart decisions with that. So the bulk of what we do is targeted outside of the area, Orlando, Tampa, Tallahassee, Atlanta, areas like that. But we also do a campaign that's more locally focused. I think it's important that the local community be aware of what's going on, whether it's events and festivals or just understanding the opportunities that exist in your own community to spend dollars here as opposed to somewhere else. So we do a Hey Neighbor campaign. This is going to really showcase a lot of the local communities. We're delivering 730,000 impressions here, getting a 2.45% engagement rate. I think the Hey Neighbor call out is something that is easy for people to lean into because they feel like they're being spoken to directly. We do this on display, we do this on social, and it's an effective way to just keep the local community engaged of what's going on. Another local thing that we do is our partnership with 1010XL, right? Sports radio in the fall is big time, right? And of course, we know E.T., a Clay County guy, was kind enough to record some ads for us. I think we're going to play one now.
What's happening, beautiful people? It's your main man, E to the TV. And cool air, open trails, and that perfect Florida winter sunshine, woo! It's the season to get outside and explore Clay County. From Christmas parades and hometown festivals to holiday markets and local theater shows, holiday magic is lighting up every corner of Clay County. Get outside, get moving, and get active. Come see everything happening this season at exploreclay.com. That's exploreclay.com.
So we like those. We think it's a really good way to get that local Jacksonville area community aware of what's going on down here. There's exciting development happening in this area, and this is a good way to introduce people to a place that they may want to live. So that's an exciting part of a local strategy that we're running. Okay, so that's a high level of the strategy, the tactics, how we go about it, but how do we measure what works, right? Because that's the real important part of this. So we look at 3 key measurement tools in understanding what's working and how to adjust moving forward. First, the website data. We'll dig into that a little bit differently. Google Analytics is a back-end tool that measures everything that happens within a website. I mentioned Placer AI. We use that in the strategy on the front side. We also can look at historical data in terms of visitation from markets and where are we seeing lift. And then finally, we've got our own lodging and tax collection data, right? That's the easiest way to look at this. Are we seeing an increase in occupancy and average daily rate for hotels, right? That's an important part of the equation. We'll look at the first two because those are ones that we have access to and control specifically here. So when we look at website traffic, there's a lot of stuff going on in here, right? So this is the weediest part of the conversation here. You can see all the squiggly lines. That's going to measure like all the different channels of traffic that are coming into your website. A channel being like social media, display. I come direct to your website. I type the whole thing in. But what is really important to look at here is the performance year over year. And as you see the bars on the right-hand side, the dark blue is this year, the light blue is the previous year. So what we're seeing is increase in traffic across the board, which is great, right? Our goal is to make sure that we're driving more people into the website, and we've seen 137% increase in the key events of people coming into the website. So you can see tiny little green numbers across the bottom there, or in the middle by total. Those are all the increases we've seen in total users and new users and views on the website. Now, it's one thing to drive traffic to a website, right? If people come to your store but they don't buy anything, that doesn't do any good for you, right? So we want to make sure when people come to the website, they're doing something important. So we've set up key events and conversions on the website. Technical code that we place on there to track what people are doing. Every time you go to a website, every click you do is being measured, right? So that's what we're doing here. And we've identified a handful of things that we think are leading indicators for the success of visitation. So these things look like outbound activity partner clicks, right? Coming to the website and then looking at things to specifically do here. We've got some people in the lodging space, right, on the panel and in the audience. How many people that are we taking into the website are looking at places to stay within there? If I'm looking at hotel options in the community, there's a good chance I'm serious about visiting, and that's a positive indicator for us in terms of success of our campaigns. So from those sort of things to visitor guide downloads to dining and things to do actions in the area, those are things we measure to understand what's performing and are we getting the results we want when we get there. And as I mentioned earlier, 137% increase in those measurable events that we've identified. So really happy with what we're seeing there from a year-over-year performance. Finally, Placer AI. This is the tool that measures your cell phone device as you travel around the world, right? We look at the top markets these are the top 20 overnight trip visitation markets for us. Overnight's being key because that's going to lead to your bed tax. Orlando and Miami are the top two. And you can see not only are they the top two, but they're up 12.4% and 14.9% year over year. The messaging we're doing to those communities is working. More people are coming. That's exactly what we want. You can see it's a positive trend pretty much down the line, a few exceptions. Atlanta, New York, those are both down. Those are both sort of some international hubs for travel. Not surprised. We've seen a larger industry trend in pullback from that. So some of the folks we work with in the Atlanta area are seeing some big declines year over year. So I'm not at all surprised by that at all. But this, again, is a validator for us that what we're doing and where we're targeting and the messages that we're sending are working because those devices are making it here, and we're measuring that. So very cool stuff there. And that pretty much wraps it up. So do we have any questions?
Questions for Kyle? Brian, go ahead.
So have you ever seen, thank you, Kyle, this is awesome, great data. Have you seen other counties, this is part of our grant process, but have you seen other counties, their boards like us, advertise their events to get those Orlandos and regional and national people in?
Yeah, the trend right now has been a pullback, right, from a larger regional focus to a more, we'll call it a drive market approach. So we've seen, and honestly, it's some of the more rural destinations that are more affordable from a travel perspective that have been doing well. So if you historically may have focused on, let's say like a DC market or a Charlotte market, it's a little bit more of an ask to get people to make that long of a trip when they're looking at budgets and trying to be more conscious of that. So that's where for us, we've sort of said, hey, maybe Tallahassee, Orlando, Tampa, which is a closer closer drive market for people is going to give us a better return on our investment. And we've seen that regionally throughout the Southeast. It's your bigger airport international type markets that have really seen a little bit of a decline year over year, where your more rural, affordable, laid back environments are doing better.
I guess my question is specifically around, like, right now we're advertising the idea of Clay County to those markets, right? And then locally we're advertising the Hey Neighbors more like, hey, there's this festival here, you should go to it. Are you seeing other communities doing the opposite there, where they're saying, here's this festival that does drive heads and beds, maybe the fair, maybe the fall festival, whatever it might be, and then pushing that out to that middle, that drivable kind of places to get those heads and beds?
Yeah, I think it just depends on the festival and the event that you have and what is the appeal. And that's where I know we've used Placer as a tool to understand. If you've got historical data from festivals and events in years past, looking at, okay, where are these people coming from? Are they local, or are they traveling 2 to 3 hours? And is there an opportunity to get them to stay overnight and make it a long weekend of it, as opposed to just come in for the festival? So I would point back to the data there in terms of figuring that out. Yeah, I mean, I think that's the best way for me to answer that. I don't know if that answers your question.
I guess the question is more like, do you see other communities doing that? Like, we don't have a Disney World here, we don't have those kind of things here, but do you see other communities advertising the state fair or some kind of festival that they might have in their county?
I would say case by case, right? And it kind of goes back to how big the event is what I would say. So, like, we try to take an individual approach to thinking about that, and again, go back to, like, what does the data say historically for something like that? I think there's a lot of festivals and events in a lot of different communities, right? So you got to have something that is specifically unique to get people to travel. We partner with somebody in North Georgia who's got a huge Oktoberfest, right? And they're a little Bavarian village. And for them, they can pull from larger because of what they bring to the table. But a lot of communities have Oktoberfest, right? So what is it that you have that's different and unique that's going to cause somebody to say it's worth the longer drive? And if those things aligned, then absolutely, we do that for other partners as well. Yes.
I'm going to present on the Bartram Trail.
You have to go to the mic.
I have to go to the mic.
Brian, just for the record, so we are working on, we just finished like the fall festival piece, but we're working on the Christmas and Clay program, which would then go out to those communities. So what you're talking about, we're doing that in those outside markets. So I don't have that example of other groups, but I can tell you what we're doing with Christmas and Clay.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah.
I wanted to mention a relevant example. I'm here to present about the Bartram Trail you all are developing here.
Ma'am, also, if you can just state your name for the
Oh,
record.
sorry, I'm Stephanie Liskey with Sailforce Productions.
Thanks.
And I work with the Bartram Trail. I've worked on developing it. I also work with Scenic Byways. And Putnam County has developed an event around the Bartram Trail called the Bartram Frolic that is very, very popular, and people are coming from hours away, and it has been advertised outside to bring people in to highlight their ecotourism. And it's a similar community that people want to get away from all the traffic and the rush. They want to be right on the St. Johns River. That's what it's all about. So we've definitely seen that. And I've helped other byways promote things, and it's just like he just said, you don't want it to be a bake sale. But if there's something really unique, we see things like that promoted, like the Right Whale Festival in Fernandina Beach is a good example. So
Awesome. Thank you for your feedback. Other questions for Kyle? David?
Yes, and again, I think it's a great job. I learned a lot, so thank you. But I know your target audience, or our target audience, is like family and outdoor.
Yeah.
Is there an opportunity to really create something like a Did You Know, an introduction to Clay County, someone who has never heard about Clay County, some type of, I don't know, lack of a better word, an ad or something. Did you know Clay County, whatever it is, just to get people interested in knowing who we are and where we are?
Yeah, I think what you're talking about is sort of that planning part of the equation, right? And we're constantly talking about what content do we need to create to sort of tell that deeper story, right? One of the taglines is we have a story to tell, right? And that's exactly it, right? So it's an ongoing process. I think, one of the things, David, that we try to be cognizant of is recognizing that our main goal is to drive overnight visitation, right? And that's how we fund all of this, is with that hotel tax. And so we want to be cognizant of things that we want to do, like to do luxury type things versus the things that are going to drive that. So we're kind of juggling multiple things at the same time, but that is it's an important long-term component of this for sure. I would say that is long-term community branding, right? That's what that is.
Other questions? I just have one last question. So for Placer data, when it says overnight trips, from the Placer perspective, what defines an overnight trip? Is that someone coming to the community and staying for a set number of hours? Like, how is that defined?
That's going to be actual overnight, right? So that cell phone is parked in a hotel overnight.
Okay.
Or short-term rental. But that's how they're measuring that. Device comes from outside, it stays here, and it's going to be here for a full 24 hours.
Okay.
So either they stayed or it fell out of their pocket while they were hiking.
Awesome. Any other questions? Good job, Kyle. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys.
Moving on to item number 4, it's our Airstream Ventures Sports Tourism Update. Mr. Alan Verlander, welcome.
Hey, everyone. All right. So just a reminder of some of the conventions that we go to as a group. Either one of us or two of us will attend these. So back in April, we attended Sports ETA. That's kind of the governing body of all sports commissions, if you will. Then the Florida Sports Foundation meetings, which was in Treasure Coast back in June, that are all of the sports commissions from around the state of Florida. And then Connect Marketplace was in Miami back in August. I forgot to put my contacts in today, so if I squint, that's why I'm squinting. And JR went down there for us. The Sports Relationship Conference, which is a really boutique conference that we have found is really intentional, and it's smaller by nature, but we've gotten a lot of great leads from it. And then we are, two of us will be going up to Lexington, Kentucky for the U.S. Sports Congress. So, we go to 5 different ones, and we mix and match who goes to those as well. But just kind of give you an idea of where we're heading in most years. Wrong way. So, I will say we've worked in Clay County. Obviously, thank you. We've worked in Clay County a while, and we have a really good team in place. I know I said that before, and I will continue to say that. With everybody in tourism, with Justin in Parks and Rec, we really have a symbiotic kind of communication and partnership now. So, but booked events, I think somebody asked, and it might have been Board of County Commissioners or in this group, some of the ones that we lost, are we going to be able to get those events back? And I think you can see we're well on our way to be getting plenty of events here to Clay County. So, Brand Name Athletes, we had that back last month. We're waiting the Placer AI data, but the event organizer said that we had over 700 kids coming. It was at the sports complex. They came from North Carolina all the way down to Miami and everywhere in between. So it was a big boys and girls flag football event. And so, we were able to book that, the sports complex, and Justin and his team and everybody took care of it. Fields were immaculate. And then you do have in front of you 2 grants. United Youth Sports Football, it's tackle football. Could look at it from like Pee Wee football. So both one in December and one in January. The one in December is his national championship. That's been in Las Vegas in the past. Frank Bermudez lives in Palm Coast, Florida. So he wanted to get closer to his home. And then they want to do an MLK event in January. And so those are already booked. The fields are booked, all of that, and you have grants in front of you. We were able to get the American Cornhole League back for their interstate championship. So they do a state championship, which we've held here before. That just comes from people around the state. The interstate championship, people come from all over the country. So that is MLK weekend as well. So it'll be going on the same exact time as the United Youth Sports Football. That will be held at the fairgrounds. The downside is we've held this in the past. He's had between 300 and 400 competitors. Because one of the exhibit halls at the fairgrounds is down or being used in a different way, it's going to limit his capacity on how many people he can bring based upon how many cornhole boards he can put in the. We can only have 2. So in the past we've had all 3 exhibit halls. This time he'll only have 2 of those. But he's excited. We had a call today. And so he's fired up about coming back. Minor League Golf Tour will be happening in February. You have a grant in front of you on that as well. Scott Turner said that signups have been really, really good. We had a full field last year. We had, I think, 3 PGA Tour players play in our event at Eagle Harbor. So it for those that have control of the weather, let's get some good weather those few days as well. And then we were going to start this last year, but things happen, and so we've brought this back. This will be the inaugural FHSAA girls flag football. For those that know, that's become a huge sport around the state, and so there's only really one big FHSAA sanctioned event, and it's over in Tallahassee. They get about 60 teams. They come in for a couple days, so we're going to start the next biggest one, or maybe try to surpass them in a few years, at the sports complex, and that is already done. We've sent it out to all the schools that play girls flag football, and we've got, I think, 16 so far that have registered. So we're well on our way. We ended up having 24 register last year, and we started in January, so we're way ahead of the curve this year. And then going back to the FHSAA, so lacrosse is a big sport, but JV lacrosse, kids that play JV lacrosse, when their season's over, it's just done. The FHSAA really wanted to play a lacrosse JV championship, if you will, for those teams from around the state that have a JV program. And so we'll be bringing that to the sports complex in March. And then bringing back the cross-country invitational that we did at C-Mark a few years ago. We had a meeting Monday, I think, on that. And so we've already booked C-Mark, and all of that's well on its way to plan. So if you look at the sports complex, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 booked events that are at the sports complex already here. And kudos to everybody that works on this, because the simplicity of how these things happen now, we're in a really good position. And just some advanced conversations. So we're talking to the NCAA again. I was up in Indianapolis a few weeks ago at their big symposium. They will go out for bids for their championships and regionals for 29, 30, and 31, but we'll submit those in August. And so we'll work with the team here to see which events make sense for us from the NCAA. If you remember, for those that were on the board last time, we bid on the Division II and Division III golf championships. We did not get it, but I can assure you they know where Clay County is. Premier Lacrosse, for those that follow lacrosse, they've started a professional league, the Premier Lacrosse League. They, in order to build up their sport, they are doing camps under the PLL brand. And so they wanted to do a camp. They want to do a camp this summer. Ironically, they called JR on our team 2 days ago. Can we do a camp in North Florida? We need to get one in that will kind of be a pilot camp, if you will, because we have kids that want to come from Savannah to Miami and everywhere in between. Justin and I were literally just texting about is Thunderbolt available? Because it is lacrosse, we got to have netting and all that kind of stuff. So it is available. So it looks like that'll move from advanced to booked, and that'll be in December as well. Grit and grind, you'll see a big theme here with football. Football is getting big in flag football. That's a big flag football event and championship that JR is working on. We're still trying with USA Archery. We're having good conversations. We're just trying to flipped the switch on them finally saying, coming and doing a site visit, because most USA events will do that, as those have participated in cycling and others that we've had here. Game On Triathlon, I know that Brooke from our team and Teddy and the team had a call with them about doing a triathlon at Lake Geneva. They do them all around the state. I think Teddy's worked with them in the past. And so we have a good partnership with them. So they're looking at all the details of Lake Geneva, how the different staging areas would work. But we feel like that we'll get across the board. I actually had a call with Pro Watercross on the way out here, driving out here. They want to come back. And so they're sending me dates to see if we want to do something like that. Anybody like barbecue? So the Kansas City Barbecue Society, which is one of the governing bodies for barbecue contests. We've talked as a team, this would be an event that marries up to another event. It's not necessarily a standalone event, but it's something that could be a great accoutrement to another event. So we're working with them along with U.S. Senior Pickleball. So JR from our team has had some conversations and calls with U.S. Senior Pickleball and the Hub to do something there. So they're very interested. They have worked there in the past. And so we do about 6 events with U.S. Senior Pickleball all over. And so we want to bring one of their bigger ones here. And then UFFL is another flag football. It's adult flag football. Talking to them about summer of 2026, and that'll end up happening. And then you can see all the other people that we're talking to. A bunch of different people. USA Pickleball, Elite Lax tournaments is girls lacrosse. It's college lacrosse. Last Paddler Standing is an endurance paddleboard race that we would do at Lake Geneva, because you can't do it in current, so we couldn't do it in the river. But it's a 16-hour paddleboard race that these people stay on the paddleboard for 16 hours, and it's overnight. So it's kind of interesting. College club sports. So all of these colleges have club sports that some of us might have participated in. So we're trying to get their flag football championship here. The Sunshine State, we talked about FHSAA, but there's also the Sunshine State Athletic Conference. We're trying to talk to them. We had a meeting last week about getting some of their other championships here to Clay County. The Rocker Rodeo, we're trying to we are getting with C-Mark to see if we can plan something like that, because the other one was such a huge success. And then interscholastic cycling. The darters, does anybody throw darts? We just entertained the CEO of the American Darters Association at the Florida-Georgia game last Saturday. He's all about North Florida area, so JR is going to be getting him to bring a darting event. It's a very similar clientele or very similar thought process to cornhole. They drink a lot of beer, they come in, they spend a lot of money, and they throw a lot of darts. You just want to make sure you're not in the way. And then calisthenics, if anybody's interested in stretching, there is a collegiate calisthenics championship. Again, we dig up a bunch of different things, right? We're talking to a lot of different event planners. It makes me sore just thinking about that, but they're very interested in coming here. JR's having some really good conversations with them. We've developed a strong relationship with NAIA, so they're looking to hold some championships. So we're talking to them about maybe some golf events or certain things like that. Second to last one's interesting. So the National Mustache and Beard Championship, this was on ESPN The Ocho about 2 months ago at 11 p.m. There's probably only one guy up, and that was me watching it because I look for these things. And so I took a picture, snapped it to Brooke and JR and said, let's run this down tomorrow. They did. They've had some really good conversations. So there are 32 different disciplines that you can be a national champion when it comes to mustache or beard. 32. So, you got to start somewhere. So anyway, we're talking to them about they maybe one of their regional championships because of the facilities and indoor stuff. And then 5v5 soccer, we're talking to as well. These are the people that we've had really good conversations with, right? We are talking to another 30 or 40 people on average, getting them interested. But these are the ones that we've had very positive conversations on with Clay. And then final, we're very, upfront with, we got our contract in July. I turned this in a couple weeks ago, so we do have one event. Our goal is 10 events, 3,000 hotel nights, $2 million. Because we turned this in, so we're at one event. So this will be updated the next time that we meet. I guess in January, we'll have several events that we will have booked. So other than that, I think that is it.
All right, thank you. Questions?
On the lacrosse, I mean, maybe I might have missed it, but you said that we didn't have like the nets or the poles or something for them where, I thought we voted for something like that a while ago about making sure that we had that.
Those were lacrosse goals that we talked about. These are, and I know, Teddy, you want to talk because you're working on that.
Yeah, so you're speaking more about the actual goal and the two goals. So we're actually looking at with the regional sports complex budget funding to add barrier netting around the facility. So what you have, if you have or have not been out there, you have a facility that soccer, flag football, tackle, no problem, because if you get hit with a ball, not going to be an issue. Lacrosse ball, 30, 40 miles an hour becomes a bit of a liability. And you have a facility that has a sidewalk that runs down in between the fields, so you can imagine. So we're working on our end with Parks and Rec and Grounds to gather the invoices properly and then plan out the netting to be added with some other amenities as well in the next fiscal year or going forward with budget money that's been already allocated. So to answer your question.
It's such a great opportunity. I'd hate to miss it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The good news is we have some other facilities that we can put up temporary netting that is going to go, if it misses, it'll go in the woods and not hit a car or a person. So we're not losing events because of that. But once that is solved, then Katie, bar the door on over there.
I got a question. Oh, I'm sorry, David.
You go.
For presentation purposes, and maybe this is something Teddy and team can do, maybe next time, you go through each location, great, and I'm familiar with them. But maybe if we can put booked events, location, and maybe anticipated room nights or anticipated like what we think's coming so that we have an idea, that would be great and helpful so that we can keep that in our head.
Can do that.
And for Kim, for the record, in January, we'll have 3 to 4 events, and we can provide all that for you as well as a side to Alan's presentation and or within the slide deck, no problem.
Perfect. That's what I thought. I thought it was coming, but it just helps keep it straight. Thanks.
Yeah.
And this is just going back to Deborah's question. It was the rugby goals that we bid on.
Okay.
The rugby group. Anything happening with that? It was a lot of excitement. Hey, rugby's big. It's coming back. And we had this one event. I think we purchased the goals for them, and I don't know where they're being stored, but I don't know if you have any update on that.
Goals are being stored at the regional sports complex along with the
How do we take them out of storage? This is the question.
I know we've continued to have conversations. I think they're trying to decide on what to do, and I think they've talked to tourism as well. So I think I know he had a lot of energy and all of that, and they tried to do it around the Florida, Georgia. It didn't work, so I think they're kind of saying, okay, what's the best time of year to do it? And it's probably looking like later spring, from the last conversation I had with him.
Yeah, and obviously that predates me, but on the rugby side, obviously, between the goals going into the ground and then the use of other events out there, that's something we can look at. But as of right now, we haven't been approached recently. But obviously we can reach out to those groups and see how we could utilize those. And again, it would be surface specific based on the other groups because of where, if you know rugby, where the try has to be on the front end as opposed to the back end of the, not to go too specific on you, but
We're limited on timeframes with that, with the regional, right? Because there's certain times you can't use the field for that because it can get really,
No, we've opened it up.
we did.
Mhm.
Okay, I
It's
missed
wide
that
open.
part. Good deal.
Yep. All right, Alan, I must ask you a question. As the hopeful host of the Mustache and Beard World Championships, listen, like Clay County people would love it. Like we would love it. We love that kind of thing here in Clay, and I think it would be a huge draw. But the question's not about that. The question is pro watercross. Do you think that is there any appetite? Like one of the things, and I don't believe I was on the commission last time it happened, but I remember talking about the TV contract and stuff like that. Is that like mutually exclusive? Does that have to be included? Because for us, I mean, one of the things I think of is, while it's kind of cool to say it's on national TV, I don't really, do we make financial compensation off the TV rights? We're really concerned about room nights more than anything. Is that something that they have to do with their league, or how does that work?
Yeah, so great question. What happened with Pro Watercross is AJ Handler, who ran it before, there were 4 different watercross tours in the country, and they were all operating independently. And you had races in California and the West, and you had races in New York, and then you had AJ in Florida, and then you had up in the Great Lakes and all that kind of stuff. And so about 8 months ago, one of the guys said, doesn't make any sense. Why don't we create one tour? We can get bigger races, get more people to come to the races, and create a national tour. So about 6 months ago, that guy bought all the other tours. And so they have one pro watercross tour. That's who I was on the phone with today, is the new owner, driving out here. So their goal is, I think in the past, AJ's always had close to about 85 racers, right? Which they do come with a tribe, and they come with a lot of different people. The challenge is at Lake Geneva, the closest hotel isn't very close, right? And you have some Airbnbs out there, but not a lot of Airbnbs. So that's always been the struggle. He brings people, but it's hard to track where they stay, right? And so, but having said that, now that they're a part of this bigger tour, they were talking about that they're not going to go to a location unless they have 200 racers now. Well, that's a big difference, right? Now, it's also a big difference operationally, because where are we going to park everybody and all those kinds of things? So we have a long way to go with that. But I do feel good about where the tour is headed, that it's going to be a lot bigger. They're working on a relationship, a really good partnership with CBS Sports Network that would be live components of everything, which would be better than tape to live. And so I don't know. We're talking to them. They're very familiar with the property. They love it. AJ loves it. The new owners love the idea of it, but it does have to work for us too. And I told them I was going to bring that up today. But we have some calls coming up in the next few weeks with them. Once they send us potential dates, we'll look at that, see if that's available for Keystone, and then I think have a strategy meeting on, do we want to take it further.
And then, excuse my ignorance on this, but is it might be because of a lack of viewership platform in terms of in person, but is like a Doctor's Lake a option for something like that?
It is. The challenge is how they start. So you can get you can get them in Doctor's Lake, but they start at a start and they have to be held. And so there's nowhere, like the beach at Lake Geneva is perfect, because they launch them in, they drive them in, then they have a holder, and then ready, set, go, and boom, they go. There's nowhere for people to stand to hold them in place to create a starting line there. Doctors, would be amazing because of all the people you could watch and all of that. That's just the challenge that we've looked at, because we've Google Earthed it, and I don't, unless you're just holding onto a pylon on the bridge and, like something like that.
A floating dock or something.
That would be a possibility if if you brought a barge out there or something.
I just think that solves your hotel problem, because now you're in Orange Park.
Good idea. No, it's a great idea.
A lot of visibility.
Yep.
So okay, we can hash it out
Yep.
more. But all right, any other questions? All right.
Okay.
Thank you very much. All right, number 5 is the Town of Orange Park Fall Festival Placer Debrief.
So at the commissioner's request, we pulled Placer. You guys have the packets in front of you. It was a little bit late, so I apologize not having it on the slide deck. But I'll just, we can kind of run through it. If you go to the first one, which is the 2 days, should be top right corner. Really, obviously, it gives you the specifics, October 18th and 19th, Town of Orange Park Fall Festival, signature event. So the big thing for me is page 3, if you start there, 2 in, and you look at the visits, I would start there at 29,200, which is exceptional. And then you kind of digest some of that graphic of the average dwell time is 67 minutes, so that's the time of them spending over the 2 days in the area, right? Now, this is a geo-fenced area, obviously to Kyle's point earlier about the cell phones. You see the visitors, 28.3, the frequency, I mean, there's a lot of things there. The year-over-year increase at 50%. And so that's kind of the main piece. The next 2 pages, I would go to 5, and that gives you a bit of a heat map and kind of shows you some of where they're coming from. Obviously, you're going to be Clay County specific, but there is a draw outside. And remember, their grant was 15,000. So if you're thinking in your head about what the algorithm is and the impact and the financial piece, just kind of have that as we kind of go through this. The next page I would go to, the next 2 just gives you zip codes, so you can see the impact of Orange Park and Doctors Lake, Green Cove, etc. But really, I think the highlight is page, 8. So that gives you the favorite places pre and post of the Orange Park Fall Festival. And if you look at the top 5, right? The top 5 are people that would have parked locally for the event, right? Because all those things, if you look at, they're 0.1 miles, 0.2 miles away. So that's something you kind of just cross off. But if you look at 6 through 10, Orange Park Mall, 2,000. Fleming Island, different than Walmart, 2,000. Walmart, 1.5 thousand. Town Center, again, these are all different geofences, so these aren't the same people in this, that they could cross over, but, and then obviously the Dairy Queen did a pretty good business that day, judging by number 10.
Big day of dilly bars, yeah.
But the reason we highlight this, and this was at the commissioner's request, is you see the 29,000, but then you see the impact of the residual that leaves the event, either pre or post, and that's over 2 days. Saturday, I believe the next Saturday would have been 8 to, I don't have the exact time. Sunday was a little bit less in the morning, obviously, probably because of church services and things like that. But I think this page 8 gives you a really full feel of what the impact is. I mean, take those numbers and times them by 20, 30, 40, 50 of restaurants or businesses, and you get a pretty good economic impact. Again, I'm not going to do the math. I'll leave that to you guys. But I think it's a local event. It's a signature event for the county. We give them a grant, but at the $15,000 rate, the rate of return based on Placer is pretty exceptional. And all those people condensing, and that doesn't even include all the things that they spent at the actual festival, right? I mean, that's almost too difficult to ascertain. But again, I think that's why, Kyle mentioned earlier, I know the commissioner, we're trying to use Placer so much more with everything we do because it's so much more fact-based, and there's a lot less that leads itself to, to guessing. So.
Well, I'll give you some data. With a 4-year-old, I spent about $100 on a hot dog and a face painting and a bounce house.
Yeah.
So, no, it was great. No, and all joking aside, I requested that Teddy do this because this is the proof in the pudding, as far as a grant that we gave out and just unbelievable returns to just, I drove by on Saturday and I attended on Sunday and it was jam-packed. I mean, it was awesome. It was really good.
And just the last reference, in case you're counting at home, packet 2 on page 3, the breakdown was 16,500 on Saturday, and it was almost 13 on Sunday. Wow. So that if you want to keep going, I mean, again, you can kind of divide in, You know, page 5 in the second packet gives the times in a great bar graph, so it shows you the high volume times. And then the heat maps kind of keep on, but again, it's nice to have that when they come up next year. It's nice to have that going forward and know exactly what the impact is, both at the site and then how it impacts Clay County outside of it as well.
Awesome. Any questions from anybody? Go ahead.
I have a few. I think this is awesome because it gives us some information. I think Atomic Beauty and Barber Lounge is odd, but.
That's a parking thing.
Parking.
It's in the shopping.
Yeah, the
Okay,
top
yeah,
5 are
I
all
was like,
parking.
okay, that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah.
They
I was
weren't
like, I
giving
can't
out
figure
free
this one out.
haircuts.
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
like, okay. But, so this is great. I know when we give grants, they're supposed to report back. We try very hard on nights, days. So I don't know if we've gotten that yet and if you'll report that back to us.
Yeah, well,
on-
we'll report that back. I don't know that we have that handy, but yeah, we'll get that back to you
Okay.
guys for January. for sure.
And then, the Placer AI is a new thing,
Mhm.
I guess, and it's something that there's a fee that comes with it, I assume. And are we gonna do this moving forward with all events?
Yes, that's the plan. Yeah, and ideally, the only thing where it wouldn't play into is if we had a new event that came that wasn't there existing last year. But,
Right.
and not to go too crazy into Placer, but ideally for some of these signature events, the fair we can do, but I'm sure you're gonna be bowled over by that and you won't be surprised.
Yeah.
But some of these events, we can go back 2 or 3 years as well and give you a little bit of a chronology, which is nice to see as well. We've also provided it to the event organizers because there's been questions of, like this is a perfect example, Emily with the Town of Orange Park, they're at a place where they're maxed out. And so like, what can they do to maybe increase to over 30,000? I don't know the answer to that.
Friday.
But we provide the data to them because they don't have access to Placer, and then let them kind of be a good event organizer and be a little bit more, forward thinking or outside the box and how they can do more if they want to even. That's
I
the
think,
option.
I think that's a good idea too, because
Yeah.
this is then a resource
Yeah,
back to them.
should be. Because at the end of the day, it's only going to help our impact if they
Right.
grow it or they can get different types of vendors to more people to come in.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? All right, very good. So now we're gonna go on to number 6, which is our bed tax collection and hotel update.
So, provided you all an insert, the bed tax collection comes out usually on the 4th or 5th. Obviously, we're at the 5th today. So the insert and the slide doesn't have the most recent data. I provided it to the board. And the reason, in conversations with the chair, I wanted to show you guys to see the impact. So we went down a little bit in September, but we bounced back fairly nice in October. That's the highest October that we've had in 5 years. There's a lot of different opinions on why it was low in September, why August. Interestingly, we did a little bit of research internally. 2 names that come to mind last year, Helene and Milton, right? Helene was late September. Milton was early October. There was a bit of a bump over here from those people leaving the area. So whether that's a reason or not, there's also some things from Visit Florida. One of the examples that Visit Florida gave out, let's see if I have it here somewhere. For an example, for September, the Southwest, Fort Myers, Marco Island, Naples was down 9.5% as an area. The North Central area, which is going to be like Gainesville, Ocala area, was down 14, almost 4.8% from Visit Florida. And obviously that's kind of a standard we use. So I think down 5% with a bounce back to 8, feel pretty good about where we're at. And obviously October should be, nice. The other thing with October, not to go too crazy into the bed tax, is if you do know, as of last Thursday, the Marriott Town Place Suites is now open in Middleburg, right next to the Hampton and across from the hotel, or the hospital, excuse me. And they're gonna have not to invite everyone, but they're gonna have a reception on the 12th. So I was able to go by there on Friday, take a tour around, great facility, some nice restaurants coming around there. So that's only gonna help the bed tax collection as a whole going forward. and to get more rooms, again, in a central part of the community, that can stretch a little bit farther outside of Orange Park and some of the southern areas, so.
Questions on the bed tax? Or comment?
Are we, looking at anything closer to Keystone at all? As far as hotels or anything?
We have a Green Cove proposition, don't we? Or is that? That's Green Cove, yeah. Yeah, as far as I've heard.
Yeah, I don't know of any development coming up as far as hotels.
I mean,
That would really help with.
the answer to that is it's bigger than us, right? It's
Yeah.
developers and real
Right,
estate
right.
and demand,
Obviously,
and it takes
yeah.
2 years to build a hotel that you're looking for, and is there enough demand year-round for
That's
that
the
hotel to
thing,
make?
mhm.
Probably not. It's the reality. Sad, but true. Like,
Right.
but so it's so much more
It's just, I hate that
than that.
Bradford gets
Right.
most of the
Yeah.
stuff.
I would say some of the conversations that we've had, I go to all the economic development council luncheons, and they do a lot of updates, and a lot of the meetings we've had, you know, as the Beltway continues to develop, all that development is gonna, whether people want it to or not, is gonna continue to go south. So especially the corridor of Camp Blanding, you know, at 16, which is where this group needs development because that's where the park is, right? So, it's on the way, but, you know, the crystal ball will
Just gotta get that developer.
tell us when. That's right. That's
Right.
right. Yep. Good question, though. Anything else on the bed tax collection? Okay, good deal. All right, so let's move into the event marketing grant updates, item number 7.
Yeah, so the first slide, you're just gonna have, to date, the grants, Town of Orange Park, Moose Haven Chili Cook-Off, BNA, which was spoken of earlier, and the Florida Georgia Pickleball. The last two there, obviously, were fairly recent, so we're working with them with post-event and getting them with, the grants to get that processed, to get that final number. The next slide, will give you a bit more of an overview.
1 second, Teddy.
Sorry.
Sorry. Sam, do you have the ability to put that one up there? That's weird. It's on the side screens, but it's not in front of us.
Oh, that's okay.
Okay, everybody good?
Okay.
You follow
No, I
along?
Wanna go back?
Okay.
Good.
Okay, we're good.
Okay, so the next one obviously highlights, the requested TDC grants that will come before you in a few minutes. Again, gives you the overall, what they're asking for. That would be at the TDC's discretion, and then you see the dollar amounts both at the 150, 500, and then the remaining. You know, obviously, there are, you know, multiple meetings still left in the fiscal year. You know, feel pretty confident about more grants coming, but also feel pretty confident about these events. But again, I think this gives you a pretty solid overview about what's coming and the decisions that, you know, you can make over the next few minutes with these grants that'll be presented. I'm
And then
available
just,
for any
so looking
questions.
at that, if we were to award the ones highlighted in yellow, we'd have 154 left for the budget cycle.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's remind me off the top of my head, the fair is which is the largest one?
45.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So we're still over 100,000.
Yeah.
Including the fair.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions on that update? All right, let's move on to new business. Number 8, our meeting schedule for the 2026 year.
Yeah, and so just for your reference, the potential calendar dates for the TDC, obviously keeping that first Wednesday, Wednesday, January 7th, Wednesday, March 4th, Wednesday, May 6th. July's a tricky one, if you've yay or nay looked that far ahead. July 4th falls on a Saturday this year, so there's a lot of things that are gonna getting bottled up between the week before and the week after. And so we had a mentality to skip that meeting. The thought process being, May would be the last grants for this fiscal year that we would hear at that meeting. And then if you're looking at like time-sensitive things other than other updates, and then September would be the first grants for the next fiscal year, because obviously that would be ahead of October. So if you're going with the main grant piece in the timeline, that's, I think, why we felt confident that July would be okay. Obviously, it would be the first week of July, which is somewhere around the 7th, 8th. It's gonna be very difficult for people's schedules, just as a whole, I would imagine. And then obviously Wednesday, September 2nd, and then November 4th, which would be a year from now roughly, so.
The only question I have is, I remember this past year, we had to do some moving because of the budget. Does this new schedule account for that to make sure that? It had to do with like, getting the budget into the commission.
Yeah, so we could review similar to what we did this year in September, the blue sheets,
And then get
which
it
is what
to-
we did last year, and then obviously they would make the decision over the next 2 meetings.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Any comments on the schedule or any glaring things that people see? I think it looks good. Okay. All right, we are good on that, Teddy?
Good.
And then, number 9 is, starting off our grant requests with the Scottish Games.
Yep. And Sean is here to present.
Good afternoon. My name is Sean Wardlaw. I'm currently the president of Northeast Florida Scottish Games and Festivals. And we come to you again asking for a grant. We're looking at roughly 400 rooms. Don't know what the new fee schedule is going to be for the rental. Last year it was $7,800, but I guess a new fee schedule came out, so that could potentially go up. Multi-day event, we are trying to get a judges clinic and a novice athlete clinic, which would be a couple of days prior, and then possibly having one of our attendees to do a history lesson or a history talk at one of the local libraries. And as you know, we are always the last Saturday of February.
Awesome. Current, questions? One question I have is it's, currently it's Saturday and Sunday, correct?
Just Saturday.
Just Saturday. Okay, gotcha. Okay.
If we do the thing with the library, that will be Friday.
Gotcha. So the part, Teddy, on the multi-day event part, where's that? How does that come into play?
Sorry, we're waiting for final decision
Okay,
on the
okay.
library
We're
fees.
trying to get that.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. We're trying to get the multi-day going.
Yeah.
So obviously it could be contingent upon that based on your,
Do we have verified room data from last year?
I don't have it on hand.
Okay.
now.
Do you have the ability of getting
We
it?
could get it, yeah, from
Okay.
grants.
We were in the 200 to 300 range last year
Okay.
for hotels, which is fairly average for us.
How much did we claim? Do you remember how much you turned in last year in receipts? Like how much you got back, like what you actually claimed from the grant?
Last year, we did the sponsorship. We didn't do the grant.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, and so if you remember, we had brought a couple meetings ago, we got rid of the sponsorship and went to the signature and
This is
special.
the accountability.
Yeah, because of the accountability piece. And so, and also in theory, right, Scottish Games is a competitive event. And so they are a little bit more aligned with this at the maximum of 25. Last year previously, and I can't speak to the years prior, but as of 24, they received 35,000 under the sponsorship. So this would be at a max of 25.
Other comments?
Remind me, as a sponsorship, how much, Sean, how much we gave them last year? Was it 25?
35.
It was 35?
It was 35.
Okay, so I thought it was, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
In years past, we've maxed out at the 25 until they put the multi-day disclaimer into it.
Mm-hmm. All right. If there's no further comments or questions, I'll entertain a motion from someone.
I have one more comment. I think we have to verify room nights, and we know that. right? And I know it's not about room nights. Trust me, I know that. I mean, I'm a hotelier, yes, I love room nights, but it's so much more than that, and we can see this in the Placer AI. But I think we have to start somehow gather, and it's very hard to gather, you know, it's as good as us reporting back to you. But I would question the 200 to 300, honestly. And so I think we have to really verify that somehow.
So with the change, as a reminder, with the change from sponsorship to this sports side, we sponsorship had no deliverables. And so now the post-event, actually we and/or grants intake the information, and then grants comes to the decision. So there's much more accountability on that, and that could be something that we clearly add in. Now, obviously, the other piece, and for this grant and the ones going forward, it's all contingent upon the TDC's discretion of how much they would want to award based on the post-event as well. Because the post-event could come back at less, and that could be the TDC's. That's why we put the clause in there, the TDC's discretion of the maximum. But the grants division would make that decision, and then we would bring it back to you guys. For sure.
And for me, that's why I like for this one, it's $10,000 less than we gave them last year. 2, there's an accountability measure. 3, if they don't fully use 25,000, that would go back into the budget. So that's, I'm okay with it, but.
Do you have any anecdotes about how long somebody stays at the Scottish Games when they come? Like, is the average person there for a couple hours, or?
Most are there all day. They arrive at 9 o'clock when the gates open, and they stay till 8:30, 9 o'clock at night when the concert ends.
And in your packet, there's Placer data about last year.
Oh, okay.
Should be in there.
It's the last item in the packet.
Yeah, and there's a compilation from 24 and 25. And so you get the dwell time, you get the totals of the amount of people, the increases.
So in 24, just for visibility, in 24 it was 8,900 visits. In 25 it was 7,000 visits. Average dwell time was, and I agree with you, especially participants and their families. It's a all day deal. According to Placer, the average dwell time was 220 minutes and 229 minutes. So they're there for multiple hours.
Mr. John, unfortunately, last year, we also were fighting against the PBR.
Oh, yeah,
The
it was
big
in
rodeo
Jacksonville.
was
Yeah,
happening
yeah.
the same night. And Miss Kimberly, we have already reached out to the hotels to help us track the heads and beds for this year. So they are aware that that is something that we need.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to grant them the 25,000 for 2026.
All right, got a motion for 25,000. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Second. Any further discussion? Okay, so this is for number 9, TDC grant request for the 2026 Scottish Games for 25,000. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. Hope you guys have a great event. The next event is the Minor League Golf Tour 2026.
And Alan will be presenting on the next 4 through Airstream.
Perfect.
Yeah, so this is an event we've had here for a while, and if those that have followed golf, so just so everybody understands, the Minor League Golf Tour feeds into the Korn Ferry Tour, which then feeds into the PGA Tour. So it is a really good event for us to have it here in the county, and Scott does a great job. For those that have met him, one of the best guys ever, and runs a really good event. So he is committed to host this event here, in perpetuity for a long time. So he's coming. He's really trying to raise even the level of the event from last year, and so it's a great event for us. I will tell you from tracking the room nights, we have somebody on our staff, on the Airstream Ventures staff, that sits with him at the registration table on the very first day, and Hi, I'm John Scramolo. Great to have you here in Clay County. Where are you staying? and we write that down. So we create a whole spreadsheet that we then turn in, and I know we have a different situation this year, but so we actually handle that to create that hotel grid.
And then that's a 3-day tournament, right?
It's a 3-day, but they come in the day before and do a practice round, so they all play. So they're a lot of times here 4 or 5 days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I actually got to attend the event last year on the championship Sunday, I believe it was. And these are like some of the best post-collegiate golfers, professional. It was awesome. The guy that won was from the University of Wyoming. And then I followed him along, and 3 or 4 tournaments later, he won a Corn Ferry event, so it's
One of the guys
it's
that played in
legit.
it last year actually played in the U.S. Open.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we're getting some of the best of the best.
It's a good one.
Yeah.
Any questions?
I'll motion to reward the 18,000.
Motion to approve. We have a second.
I'll second it. Oh,
Second by Debbie and Neil. All right. No, I think we're all super excited that they're continuing to partner in Clay County, and it's a really good event. So, all in favor of approving the 18,000 for the minor league golf tour, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion is unanimous. All right. Item number 11 is the United Youth Sports East Coast Nationals.
So this was the event I was telling y'all earlier. The event planner lives in Palm Coast. This was the one that he has held in Las Vegas before that we've been talking to him about bringing here. It's a huge event. We are working on some operational stuff with parking and that kind of thing, but the sports complex will be filled up. I don't have the sheet in front of me here
December 4th
where I
and
can
7th.
see it. No, just the number of. I can't. I should have brought my glasses and I didn't. But anyway, it's an event that he wants to keep here in Clay County. Very similar to it's teams from all over the country that will come in and play in this, and very similar to how we work with him is we will track all of the hotels. So when the coaches come and they register and we're here, we're playing, we immediately talk to the coach and write it down. So we know exactly where everybody's staying, whether it's an Airbnb, a hotel, or whatever. So that's part of our duty here is to help the event organizers, the ones that we bring in. And so we'll have somebody there the entire time doing that.
Little sidebar comment. So, my past professional experience, I was a baseball coach for 7 years, and I coached travel baseball. And, down in Lee County in Fort Myers, Perfect Game is the big baseball organization that hosts these large 500-team tournaments. So a question I have for you is one of the things that I remember in that world was the tournament organizer essentially had a list of hotels that said, you have to book X number with this to play in the tournament. Now, I know as the TDC, we can't really get involved in that piece of it. But through knowing, hey, they're definitely staying in these hotels, what is that? Is that something we could maybe implement in terms of, making that a requirement, as far as that goes?
So we've discussed that internally, and we're gonna provide a list of Clay County hotels and contacts, whether that's the general manager or the sales director of the hotel, for Airstream to help with some of that synergy to ensure that they're staying in Clay County hotels and they can set up room blocks.
Yeah, so like one of the things, and also through being a high school athletic director, a lot of the times when you play in like a state championship, our county's not big enough yet to have our own like Clay County Sports Commission, but Lee County and Orange County, they actually have people that are site facilitators. So when your team comes to town, that commission will facilitate booking the rooms, kind of the whole thing. And I know we're not there yet to do it that way. But maybe, giving them the list, I think is a start. But as far as the organizer saying, hey, and I think, Teddy, part of this is that the accountability where you're saying you have to, to get the money, you have to do the work.
Yeah, and I think to kind of piggyback off of Sam's point, I think the piece that comes from Airstream and this and the approval of the grant is that the money doesn't come to you based on just this decision. It comes to you based on the post event and the hotels and showing that data, because without it, you're not gonna be able to qualify on the back end. And so I guess we do a lot on the front end, you know, Cher on the marketing side, Stephanie on the grant piece, and Sam on the local piece of getting all those things together for these event organizers and walking them through the process to almost back up what Airstream is telling them the same way. Because at the end of the day, like, you know, the heads and beds is the key. And so if you look at this event, it's 4 days. That's 4 nights of hotels. It's really the 3rd through the 7th. They're probably leaving the 7th. Maybe they get out early. I don't know. And so we're doing much more, even on the place of like providing, the hotels is one of them, but then providing other things around the area. It's just something we're doing more on like the I wouldn't say a travel agent side, but a travel like encouragement side. Let's put it that way. Because I think what we need to do more of with these groups is bridge the gap of when they're here. It's one thing to just say, hey, listen, we're going to give you this money. It's the other thing to provide them options rather than just on this of where they could go, what they can do, and where they need to stay to qualify for this financial incentive.
Right.
And when you do that, they'll play by the rules. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I think my concern, like specifically, was an event of this magnitude. If a team's coming from not here, if they're in North Carolina or South Carolina, and they're late to booking, right? Or they didn't get the hotels in Middleburg and they didn't get the hotels in Fleming Island, then it becomes, oh, I'm going to go to Bradford.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So I guess that's where maybe just kind of having that synergy of getting it out to the hotels. This is happening here. Here's the list of coaches where the hotels could even reach out. Hey, we're here. Just a friendly, warm handoff to keep them, make sure we gobble it all up.
Yeah, and I think part of that, we do hotelier meetings every quarter. And providing that schedule of who's coming, what the contacts are, continuing that relationship. We've got a good access with Nimble, the Nimble platform, which has all the businesses on there. So we can access them fairly easily. But to your point, it's just making sure they're aware over and over and over again. Because being involved in youth sports, it sometimes is the last thing they do.
Mm-hmm.
But it needs to be the first thing in this piece to get the incentive that they want to come back.
Yeah. Okay.
Another opportunity we've talked about as a team is if we can't meet them at the hotel, we do have the possibility to meet them at the sports complex. So we do have a table and a branded tablecloth, and we can leave signage, banners, swag items, whatever it is. So no matter where they are staying in Clay, they have access to the app and the different local restaurants and a map of the area.
Nice.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing, Samantha. It'd be nice to have an itinerary. If this is like I got 3/4 of a day, they're done by 4 or 5 o'clock. It'd be nice. If I was a parent, it'd be nice to have like a ready-made kind of itinerary we can do after the event to.
Head to the mustache competition.
Exactly.
Well, and as an aside to that, if you want to talk about marketing, we're working right now. If you've been out there lately, there's 2 Connex boxes, right, for maintenance that we left. And so we're working on an advertising piece on both ends for Explore Clay. Because naturally, as soon as you drive in, there's going to be a QR. They're going to scan it. They're going to see everything they can do in Clay. So we're, again, thinking outside the box to get more things in and around being used and or even a little bit farther outside of the regional. So again, outside the box to be a little bit more resourceful.
Nice.
Well, in these football events too, they're not playing more than 1 or 2 games in a day because it's football, and unlike some of the other sports, so that is really important. They're going to have a lot of downtime, so what are they doing? I would also say with this sport, just because we've done some events with them, the socioeconomic statistics across the board are lower. And the nice thing about Frank is Frank has done this for a very long time. He is a seasoned professional, kind of like Perfect Game. They listen to him. And so when he sends everything out saying you have to stay in Clay County, they listen to that. So unlike somebody that's just starting out as an event that they don't really understand at all, a lot of these, like Scott Turner with minor league golf, they get it. They've done it a long time.
Yeah, good.
I have one question. I think it's great because I think it fills a really good need period. I like it because it's new and it fills a facility that needs something. But he's new to us and this is great, but if it doesn't go well, like, I've always been on, like, what about 2-year contracts? You know how I always say that? Like, we don't want to lose him, I don't think. So what is that? I mean, he could easily not come back next year, right? If it doesn't go well, obviously. That's my
Yeah, I
concern.
think that's always a risk. I think then that's incumbent upon us, Teddy, Justin, Parks and Rec for them to have that great experience, right? When they hit a
Right.
hotel, for people to know, thank you for coming, those kinds of things.
Yeah.
I will say, Frank wanted to bring this a couple years ago, but we weren't ready at the sports complex. So he's been wanting to come here for a while, partly because I think, he lives so close, but partly because he's like, that is a beautiful sports complex. So I think if we handle it the right way,
Right.
absolutely, I'm with you. Plus, I mean, I know you're going to hear it next. He's doing an event right after this one, which will be a different event, different types of teams. But if that one doesn't go well next month,
Yeah.
but we'll be fine. We'll be fine.
Yeah, I'll motion to approve this one with that number of room nights. Is kind of amazing. To 20, but for the full amount.
We got a motion to approve. We have a second. Second by Neil. All right, so if no further comment, any further comments? No? Okay. Go
I
ahead,
do
Dave.
have one comment,
Sure.
and it's maybe too late, but it's something, no, you're good, Deb. It's 30 days. I mean, how difficult is it to get these teams together within 30 days?
You'd be surprised. He has actually been promoting this over the last probably 30 days in anticipation of this. So it's out there already. People are coming. We just had to wait for the TDC, but it's been the complex has been booked and all of that kind of stuff. We had turned in the grant and all that. So
I would also piggyback just from a youth sports perspective. Back in my coaching days, I mean, there's some times where they'll throw these things together in like 14, and guess what? They show up.
Yeah.
They want to play. Yes, ma'am. Oh, can you turn your mic on? Thanks. There you go.
My question is like, do we have banners at our hotels in Clay County that says welcome, whatever it is that we could hang, so as the teams come, they feel like we've, made an effort to address that we're so happy they're here? Or little bags of goodies that when they check in, they get, from coupons or different things like that. Just a thought.
So as a tourism department, we can provide swag bags to some of those groups that come in. We've done that with other associations as well. So it's definitely something we can do. Banners a little bit tricky as far as how many hotels and banners, but we have that internal piece on the swag that we can easily do, no problem. Yeah. Which is another piece that brings them back.
Yeah, great idea. Sure, you can come up to the podium. Just tell us your name before you speak.
Hi, I am Kyrie. Oh, hello. I'm Kyrie King. I'm the GM at one of the hotels in Clay County, the Holiday Inn Express in Fleming Island. And I can say that anytime we have groups come in, whether it's soccer, football, whatever, the Scottish people, we always do something fun. We always do like either cookies or cupcakes or anything down those lines. We also have little swag bags as well. But having something extra, hey, will be great too. Georgia, Florida was really big for us as well. We also decorated. One side was Georgia, one side was Florida. House divided. So it was really cool. So to answer your question.
Yeah, no, and Kyrie, we appreciate that. I mean, this is what you just said is the testament that what we do is a team effort. I mean, it takes the the contractor, the actual county team, and then the board and the vendors, right? So no, that's really good to hear, for sure.
And if Florida had a quarterback, no, I'm just kidding. That's another meeting.
I have another question. If we were able to provide them the logo or the words, do you think the hotels themselves might take it upon themselves to make a huge banner as they come up to the front? Would that be something you, as a
so
hotel, would like?
2 answers to that. One, we have to go by brand standards, so we can't have huge banners, but what we can have is like a welcome reception. And I'm only speaking for my brand, IHG, but I've also worked for a Hampton as well, which is a Hilton property. And same concept. We can't have huge banners, but what we can have is a welcome reception with the welcome sign and all the tchotchkes. But if you want to provide that, let's go.
I don't know anything about that. I'm elementary here.
Okay, it's
I'm
okay.
just starting
All
out,
good.
but,
All
but
good.
it's just a thought that I
Yeah.
think it would give them some warm and fuzzies, that
Absolutely.
they feel like they're very welcome in our county.
And I think that's something back to Teddy and team, right? They provide us, and then we have hotelier meetings. And that's where all the GMs and director of sales get together. He updates us on what's going on. You know, maybe we need to have him come one day so they understand the importance of it. And then some of that money, funding, you know, little banners, whatever, and each, you know, like Kyrie would love anything extra. Kyrie's fabulous. It's not necessarily what everybody's gonna do, but you give it to us, we can run through that, through the hotel. So I think that's the avenue we do it in.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Thank you, Teddy.
All right, any further comments? So we have a motion and a second to approve the $25,000 grant for the East Coast Football Tournament, December 4th through 7th. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. All right, it is approved. So the next event is item number 12, which is a few weeks later, which is the All-American Games.
So it's a very similar event, just, you know, again, we're trying to get this to where these are annual events. They're at a good need time for us. So there it is. I can see it now. Thank you. Anyway, it's very similar amount. Much of why he's asking for this, there's a lot of unknowns when you do a first time event, and so. You know, we also want to make sure he has a good experience.
Awesome. Any questions? Pretty identical on this one, I believe. Very similar. I guess quick question: is the difference in these events age? Is it different ages?
They're all about the same different ages. It's just different levels of teams.
Okay.
So the one in December is more of a national championship, so it's a lot of the best teams coming in.
Okay.
This is more of just girth of teams.
Regionals.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. If there's no further comment, I'll entertain a motion. So we got a motion for approval from Neil. We have a second. Second from Ms. Starnes. Thank you very much. Excuse me. Any further discussion? All right. All in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? And it's approved unanimously. Thank you very much. Number 13 is the American Cornhole League Flowdown Championship.
I will say I love staying up here because it means we're bringing events to you, right? So
yes,
it's good to stand up here a lot. So we hosted the American Cornhole League a few years, 3 years ago. We hosted it in the Fairgrounds big arena. And for those that remember Joel Lamp, I think Kim remembers Joel. Joel and I were laying out all these huge tarps and in that, and it was an interesting thing. And then we moved it to the exhibit hall, and then it went away last year and didn't come back. So we've been working with the guys, the organizer of American Cornhole League Florida. His name is Dustin Hoffman, not to be confused with the actor. Anyway, so he's really excited. This one, I will be honest and say, I mean, we had to just truly convince him and just say, please come to Clay. You know, bring your event to Clay. He had Orlando really nip it at him. Again, I think this is going to be something that, going back to Kim's statement earlier, we give him a good sense of it, and he'll continue to come back. We treat him right, which we will. A couple years ago, he was not the Florida director. So the Florida director changes every 3 years. So it was another person. So this is his first year as a director. And so, you know, you see it in front of you. It's a really good event. If we could somehow get a little more space, you could bring more people which then obviously is more rooms. I can tell you, going back to the data, I was pulling it up earlier today. When we hosted this event 2 years ago in the exhibit halls, we had close to 400 participants, beanbag throwers, from 28 different states. Okay, so I mean, they are traveling in for this. You can be kind of the winner from Idaho, and you can win this event. The winners from this event do go to the regional that some of us, if you watch it on ESPN, the Johnsonville, whatever. So some of these will go to that, and there'll be a lot of the top players here. Frame of reference, just a fun fact. The number one thrower in the country last year made $5 million. So if you've ever had a desire to get into beanbag throwing and you become the best, you can make a pretty good living. That's true. So
I have his rookie card. Yeah.
Exactly. So anyway, he's excited. We had a call with him today. He's really excited about bringing it here. It is streamed, so they do have a lot of people that watch it all over the country.
Can they not use any of the ag space in the fairgrounds also if they wanted to expand, or they have to be indoor ag?
It needs to be indoor because a controlled environment. We looked at taking it to the hub because the hub has a lot more space, and we were talking to them as well. But I mean, January it could be chilly. The hub is open.
Wind affects the
That's
bags.
right.
Yeah.
You throw it a little more to the right to get it to the left. But I think if we can, there may be opportunities to gain more space. But he's comfortable with it right now.
All right. Other questions? Okay. I'll entertain a motion.
Talking too much here, but I'll go ahead and motion to approve the 20,000.
So motion to approve by Brian Knight. Do we have a second? Second by Mr. Andrews. One of the things that I want to say too for any of the public that's following along, I just want to give Teddy an attaboy for all of his hard work in terms of the way that we are now providing a lot of accountability to this, right? So while a lot of these, if you're watching along, you're like, geez, they're throwing 20,000 here, 25, they're just blowing all this money. The reality is that we will either get the return on investment in terms of receipts, and if we don't, we get the money back. So it's kind of a good situation.
Yeah, I appreciate that. The other piece to this, not to take away from your vote, but this is an interesting event and date at the fairgrounds, because what we're doing a little bit more with Parks and Rec is collaboration on what other events. JP Hall Arena, which is right next door to the smaller one, there's a small event going on there that same weekend. But we're trying to be a little bit more like, not maxing out the facility, so it's a public safety issue. It's more about, we now have two events on the same weekend at the same that aren't like stressing things out, and that's the other piece of that we have to be a little bit more, again, forward thinking of how can we get, the fairgrounds is booked out for almost 2 years. But there are other pockets like this where we can find other things that can fit, and then working with Alan to see maybe the mustache, maybe something else. So, I mean, it's a good point, but that's kind of where we are working together to do that, and that's Parks and Rec, that's us, it's Airstream. So, just as an aside.
Awesome.
And the same weekend as that football event you just approved. So we've got another event, so I mean, there'll be a lot going on.
All right, so we have a motion and a second. All in favor of approving the grant request for the American Cornhole Championships, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? It's approved unanimously. Alan, thanks a lot. You guys have really got the organization cooking with gas again, so we really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Moving on to old business, item number 14, the Bartram Trail Society Clay County Trail Funding Update. Teddy.
Yeah, and Sam, if you can just go to the timeline. So I just want to, so this is old business. This was a product development grant that came to you guys in September. I just want to throw some major highlights as you look at this. And Stephanie's here, she spoke earlier. But just a couple major points to this. I'm not going to read them all. But just to give you background, TDC approved funding for a product development grant on September 4th of last year for the Bartram Trail Society for this project that Stephanie's gonna go over. In July, there became some reimbursement questions on the MOU agreement and how it was structured. Basically, I'll take a little bit from Stephanie, but the Bartram Trail Society, it's a reimbursement grant. Well, Bartram Trail Society doesn't have any money, so you can't do a reimbursement grant without any money. So in conversations, we started to kind of go into things, and we talked, if you looked at 710, we started talking to Stephanie and Dean with the project and try to come up with a strategy on how to basically remedy this project. And so, not to go too far down, I had the luxury in August to go to the Bartram Trail Conference and speak at the conference. We had good representation from the Middleburg Museum, Clay County Archives, Orange Park Historical Society. It was a great event, about 50 people as I remember. Got to listen to me talk about Bartram Trail and Clay, very interesting, and they didn't even have to pay for it. And then going forward, the MOU with Bartram Trail, we basically came up with a strategy to let it expire in September of this year. So let's not modify the MOU, let's work to get a new MOU with Sailforth so we can get the project completed, rather than kind of convoluted. So that's when you're at 10-1, the Bartram Trail expires, and here we are today with a new grant request for X amount, the amount not to exceed 45. So we're basically mirroring the previous agreement with a new organization that has the financial ability to get the project completed, if that makes sense. And then obviously in the future, it would go to the BSCC vote depending on the decision here. I just want to preface that to give you guys a little background on kind of how we got here and see if you had any questions before Stephanie comes up. Any questions? Stephanie, if you want to, Stephanie Linsky from Sailforth Productions.
Okay, I have notes so I could go really fast because I know you all it might not, since it's been a year, some of you all might not even remember what it is. I'm Stephanie Liskey. I'm with Sailforth Productions. I would like to say when we first did this contract, it was going to be through Sailforth. I suggested it went through the Bartram Trail. We didn't know it was going to be matching because they can't. Most of the funding goes to Sailforth because it's to design a brochure and design panels, things that my company does. I designed this website. I've worked with the Bartram Trail since 2012. Let me see, how do these work? Oop. That's me and Sam and Dean, who some of you all have met, the founders of the Bartram Trail. This is in 2016 at a party celebrating the national designation of the Bartram Trail in Putnam County. My company developed a cohesive visual identity for the trail with the Bartram team, expanding to include other counties. This year was the 5th year they were invited to the Florida Folk Festival. So they have a booth there, but they perform and do storytelling there. I went this year because I wanted to document it, that it's a big deal that they keep getting more and more space at the Florida Folk Festival. They had songs that woman in the middle with the necklace, Lee Pinkerson, has written these beautiful songs about Bartram. And these other people are storytellers that are, they started out in Palatka at the Bartram Frolic, and they are more and more in request for events across Florida. They bring Bartram and the characters he encountered in his famous book, Travels, to life. Presence at festivals helps raise awareness of the trail in Florida in a great way. This is a shot from the Bartram Conference, and I hope some of you all recognize the Clay County genius of Vichy Gehrig of Clay County. She made those beautiful panels, and I wish she had been there to see everybody drooling over them. They loved them. And those are in demand now too. People want to borrow them. Clay County is joining not just the Florida Trail, but the National Trail. That's what this conference was. These were people from throughout the Southeast who've been geeking out about Bartram for years. When Sam Carr invited them to Putnam County in 2013, the Bartram Conference was in Putnam County. The only other Bartram Conference that was in Florida was in 2013. And he wanted these experts' opinions of the Bartram Trail. They loved it so much. Sam became the president of the Bartram Trail Conference from 2018 to 2022. They said this is what we all should be doing. The Bartram Frolic, which Sam and Dean created in Palaca, has been going for 11 years now, and the county's taken a larger role just this year in 2026. They have hiking and biking and paddling tours, pontoon boat tours, and bus tours. And that's Sam Carr leading a pontoon boat tour. That's Dean Campbell, the other co-creator. He has applied his experience with the St. Johns River Management District to plotting precise Bartram sites across Florida. This is him orienting a paddling tour at the Frolic. The Putnam County section of the website provides individual PDF maps for hiking, biking, and paddling, and this is our goal for all the counties. Clay County's working on this right now. We talked about it in our last meeting. It's like not having to reinvent the wheel. You're picking special trails that are connected to Bartram, but they're also trails you want to highlight. So it's this mixture that's made the Putnam a national recreational trail. It's not just history, it's offering the variety of recreation. So I developed the identity for the Bartram Trail in Putnam County and matching the logos and making the ones for the other counties later on. The other counties include Volusia, Alachua, St. Johns, Duval, Nassau, Marion, and Seminole. But Clay is the first county that has a scope to comprehensively sort of develop, put things in the ground like Putnam had it. Everybody's sort of at different levels we saw at the Trails meeting. They're all doing, a lot of them are doing some things, but this is a unique scope. That's kind of why we were sort of stumbling around trying to figure out how to set it up. So I designed a map brochure, which we're going to do in Clay County, and the Putnam Group printed waterway signs with QR code. So each QR code leads to the website. That's, again, we're doing that for Clay County too. I designed 4 large kiosks for Putnam, set with 7 panels in all, since 3 were double-sided. Every kiosk location features a map. You can see there are 32 points in Putnam, so you can see it's all along the St. Johns River. It's a complicated map. And this is the other site in Palaca of that first map one. The Bartram and Putnam Group did extensive research, including traveling to procure scans of Bartram's artwork. Those fish, that bird, that's William Bartram's artwork. And those are some of, like, his image of an alligator is the first thing any Europeans ever saw of an alligator. So they got high-res scans of these things from London, which we found is a miracle that they did that because it's hard to get them. And these resources will be used for all counties. We met somebody at the Bartram Conference who gave us a few more images that might be some in Clay that nobody's seen before in Florida. My company shot 32 videos of Sam and Dean out talking about the Putnam points, and those are all on the website. A next step for the society level is to do a document library that'll have all these old videos and all the videos from the conference we were just at, which could be of interest for people. We highlighted the Bartram Trail when I did a Trail Town kiosk in Palaca. You can leverage the Bartram Trail to connect with festivals, tours, historical societies, garden clubs, and especially byways and trails to promote the region. For example, my company had been working with River of Lakes Heritage Corridor in Volusia County since 2014. Like Bartram and Putnam, it's deeply connected with the St. Johns River. Like Bartram and Putnam, it was elevated to national status just in 2021. I sized the byway map brochure after I did the Bartram brochure. It's the same size. In 2017, I asked permission from the Putnam Group to carry over the Bartram Trail identity, like the logo and the look and feel of things, to Volusia County. And Stetson University sponsored a brochure highlighting the River of Lakes Heritage Corridor. The byway sites in Volusia are different than Clay or in Putnam. They're kind of far-flung, so we use the byway as a spine. Stetson also sponsored a kiosk in 2019 at Blue Spring State Park. And at the new Stetson Aquatic Center on Lake Beresford, which opened in 2019, Clay Henderson had been talking to me about that for a few years. So we have panels, we have 15 panels at the Lake Beresford site. So Volusia is the opposite of you guys. We have stuff in the ground, but we aren't on the website yet. So I'm working on that. But this is just to show you an example of how we already have counties connecting. We had 10, this is something we might also do in Clay, is having little panels with Bartram quotes about a plant and putting the sign next to the plant. In 2019, we had a Bartram blessing where everybody from Putnam came and celebrated with the Volusia people. Even though Volusia County didn't sponsor what I did, I worked for Volusia County and we integrated the trail into their Parks and Trails app. This is the Putnam County site on the website. We recommend everyone check out the Putnam County entries on the website when we're developing it. Samantha and Teddy are familiar with that. So this is Clay County. It's already up. And like other sites, it has site links, so you can go to a page for each one and an interactive map. Dean Campbell designs these interactive maps, and they show up on mobile, so anybody can navigate to any of these sites. It comes up like an app on your mobile devices. Each site, when you click on it, has a Bartram quote. Each site has a gallery. Dean and I took a lot of photos when we went out with Samantha, and we got some from the county and put them in there. Commentary is a final piece that's sort of personalized for each county to connect it with Bartram that we should be adding soon. There are different tabs that come up. This site didn't have Bartram's travels or a few other things, so they're not showing. The report to Fothergill is Bartram reporting back to England because he was still a subject of the king at the time. And then there's resources for every site. So Sam and Dean have probably used this more than anybody else. When they're out on the river, they don't have to open travels. They don't have to wonder which book they were looking at. So I know that is a lot, but that's an overview of the importance of the Bartram Trail, what it is, and how we're connected.
Awesome, thank you.
Do you have any questions?
I have a question. So I'm the tourism marketing manager. So when I see new product come to Clay County, I get really excited because it's a new asset that we can sell to potential visitors, especially ones that come in and it's through our demographic outdoor enthusiasts, as you heard Kyle say. So it's in our market. So my question is, what exactly are the deliverables of the product? I saw like a lot of great pictures of tours and, you had events and videos and libraries. Are you saying that with this product that comes along with it?
No,
Or-
what I'm saying is what we're doing is we're helping Clay build the trail itself. And you'll have signs like the little waterway signs with the QR codes, just like that at each site. And that connects to the Bartram website. So all that information is there. When somebody's out, even in a kayak, Dean's out in a kayak and he can look up, he scans a QR code and he can read stuff about the site.
Okay, so
And that's what I meant by create. You can
This is
create tours.
Okay, so it's a story and trails and the branding that we can really leap off of.
Exactly. William Bartram, Clay Henderson, who I worked with at Stetson University, for example, this is why I got Volusia in the ground in a different way. Clay Henderson and Tony Abbott are Bartram scholars as well. And Clay Henderson, after we finished our project, he has published 2 books. One is about the history of conservation in Florida with Bartram as ground zero. And the second is about Audubon, who followed in the trails of William Bartram. A lot of people, I didn't know who William Bartram was until I worked on the Florida Black Bear Scenic Highway. And that's how Sam and Dean found me. But once people know, you can connect to a lot of demographics about William Bartram. They've integrated him into the Putnam school curriculum now. There's a lot deeper to talk about about things but what the deliverables are is the signs in the water, getting you on the website, kiosks like the ones that I've shown you, brochure like the one I showed you, and then you can build other things on, because that's like the base. The trail is there.
Thank you for clarifying.
I just want to say, while you've been talking, I looked up the website, BartramTrailSociety.com. I live in Eagle Harbor in Fleming Island, and I'm looking at number 2, a rich swamp and a pine savanna. And it's got a picture of the Eagle Harbor boat ramp, and John Bartram is quoted, "We crossed a branch, landed, and walked over a rich swamp 200 or 300 yards wide." And kind of makes you kind of emotional.
It
like
does.
It's
It
like,
does.
Oh my goodness. Like,
Well,
this
let me,
is,
at the conference we were just at, there were 4 people from the Bartram Museum in Bartram Gardens in Philadelphia. 2 of them flew from New Jersey because they work from afar. They were in tears when Sam Carr was reading the prayer, the Quaker prayer. William Bartram was a Quaker at Mount Royal. It's like this sacred site in Putnam County. People were crying, and it has happened a lot when Sam brings people to read the prayer. Bartram was a poetic, his book Travels is this very weird book. A lot of people call it America's first masterpiece. And his father was a botanist, and William was kind of a lost person who found his place because he was an artist. He came, you saw all the beautiful drawings, but the book is beautiful. Like I said, you can find a quote, but some of the quotes are from William's father, because the first trip he went was with his father, the botanist. But the second trip, he was doing botany, but also drawing, and also having these ecstatic visions, like as though he might have been smoking something. And he did smoke things with the Indians. He made friends with the Indians. So at the conference we were just at, the theme was Bartram in Florida. So even these people from Alabama and Georgia were researching aspects of his relations with the traders, his relationships with the Native Americans, like that young man you saw playing the Long Warrior in the slide. I mean, he gave Bartram the name Puggy the Flower Hunter, and that allowed him to go in a safe way. And it was not a safe time in America. It was, in fact, during the Revolution. So Bartram's very relevant right now. And Bartram's father is also famous. So, and there's a lot of your sites pertain to, I think, Bartram's father. So it can, if you get Sam and Dean talking, it can go. Like I said, there's a conference with all these people talking, and they all can stand up there and talk for an hour. So it's a huge thing for your county to be doing this. It'll be great to promote.
And yeah, and to Stephanie and Cher's point, I mean, the grant is for the kiosks, the maps, the putting the imprint in on Clay County and continuing it through all the counties. I mean, that's essentially the deliverables. Again, Bartram Trail the Florida Society wasn't able to do it. Sailforth is the mechanism, so that's why we brought it back to you guys. I think when you think about the whole agenda as a big piece, there's a lot of diversity in there, and this kind of finalizes that. There's a lot of different things that we've already talked about over the last, unfortunately, quite a while, that I think speaks to a little bit of a nice ending, if you will.
We had some parts that are billed that work the Bartram Trail Society does, but that's less than the part Sailforth does. So I'm going to pay them rather than them paying me.
okay, so let's get to the grant here, I guess. So Teddy, can you just kind of explain how so it says the total request, at least on the agenda, it says the total request is 43. Let's see, my computer's messing up here.
For the previous MOU, to try to mirror it, expenses up to the maximum amount of $45,000 was the original grant amount.
And then this is, So I guess it makes sense to me when you're putting up signage and all these things all across Clay County to do this. Is that like a one-time, like we invest the money and then it gets put up and then?
So it's all based on deliverables of the kiosk, the maps and everything else. So like, you don't just get a check for 45K.
Right.
As the bills come in, we work with purchasing to pay those bills based on the grant.
Okay.
Yeah.
I totally support it. I think it's awesome. It'll be awesome for our community. I think the biggest thing for me is, it's a big investment. But it's something that quantifiably, instead of a one-time deal, it's there. I mean, it's there all year.
It's good.
Yes, sir.
Earlier, did you mention that it was a match grant?
That was the previous grant.
MOU,
Yeah.
okay.
This is just a reimbursable grant, the way the MOU, and again, what we got into in July is I'm here in May, and so you're kind of looking at this MOU agreement, and you're working with a group that doesn't have any financial ability to get reimbursed, and so what do you do?
Mm-hmm.
And so the best way to solve it was to let that MOU expire, agreement, if you will, MOU agreement, and then re-engage with a group that works with them and alongside them and is patterning the whole project that can be reimbursed.
Yeah.
It's more of a procedural thing probably, and then again, to bring it back to you guys so you know what's going on.
Yeah. Last question I have is, I understand the procedural thing, but would this come off of the grants that we had in the
No,
yellow? This
totally
is separate. This is not
This
even
was
in
a
that.
line, this was a line in the budget that is 85,000 total.
Okay.
This would be 45, a maximum of 45 of that would be another 40,000 if we found another grant that's a type of product development over the next fiscal year.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got one question. How many points in Clay do we have? I know you mentioned Putnam, but did you say 7?
I think 7.
Yeah. it has it right here.
7?
It's been a little while since
And
I
then
was
do we have a
looking at
timeline of when we'll get the deliverables? Like, is there a, do we
it.
have an
It can't be nailed down because we're working with the county.
Yeah.
idea? Right.
So we're at the content phase right now.
Yeah, this on the website, so it's 8. Yeah, Doctors
Okay.
Lake, Lakeshore Boat Ramp, Whitey's Fish Camp, Camp Chow, Black Creek at the Old Ferry Boat Ramp, Master Sergeant Park, Davis Landing, and Williams Park.
The goal, to answer that question, the goal is to get the agreement complete, and then we can start really getting things completed. It's mostly been website and content and getting that set up of the 8 sites, and now we can actually get things in
Boots
the
on the
ground.
ground, yeah.
Yeah, and nailing down that content, that's the hardest part, is getting all the content. Once you have that, you want to get that nailed down and your main map. We've been in progress on that, because once we have it, you can reuse it in a whole bunch of places.
Any other questions? I'll entertain a motion to approve the 45,000 grant.
Thanks.
I'll make a motion with 45.
All right, we got a motion to approve by Debbie,
I'll second.
a second by Sherry. Any further discussion? All right, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, congratulations. Thank you very much. We're looking forward to that in our county. It's gonna be fantastic. So finishing up, we have our events update from Sam.
Yes, events, the most fun part of the meeting, of course, everything that's going on in Clay County. I know you have a list in your packet and we published it as part of the agenda, but I thought since we're entering the height of event season, it'd probably be more appropriate to bring up our events calendar. So if you visit exploreclay.com, it'll default to the list view. But I really recommend looking at it from a month view because you can really see everything going on. Some things I'd like to highlight is the Penny Farms Arts and Crafts Festival that's happening this weekend. We have Vintage Market Days happening next weekend. That's at the fairgrounds. And before long, we're kicking off into Christmas. So using this month view here, you can use this arrow to go over to December. And me and Cher and Steph have been working really hard over the past few weeks to fill up this calendar for the month of December. You can see there's something happening every day in Clay County. and we're going to continue adding things as the days go on. This ties into our Christmas and Clay passport that Teddy mentioned earlier. So the Christmas and Clay passport is going to live on our Explore Clay app, and it's going to be a curated list of events happening in Clay County. So it's going to include your parades, it's going to include the Christmas themed theater shows, and we've been working on contacting our local businesses to ask if they have any specials. Who's serving peppermint mochas? Who's selling Christmas sweaters? Where can you get a photo with your dog? So it's those kinds of things that we want to curate in a list for everybody. And so I really encourage everybody to download the app and look for the Christmas and Clay passport. We'll be launching right before Thanksgiving. Yeah. We're aiming
the tours section.
Yes, we're aiming for the week of Thanksgiving for that to be done. So we're really, really excited about Christmas. So yeah, make sure you follow along, download the app. It'll be updating daily with new events. Yes. So, the QR code right here.
Thanks, Sam and Cher. I think the big thing for me that I can definitely hear in your voice is you guys love this work, which is awesome. And that's definitely evident, and we appreciate all your hard work to build these things up. It's great. Good stuff. Anything else for the good of the group? One last thing, I'll use the privilege of the chair. It's not on the agenda, but I always want to open it to the public. If there's anyone else in the public that would like to make a comment and address the TDC, you can feel free to come on up. Perfect. Glad I asked. While he's making his way up here, we'd like to have public comment at the beginning and the end of the meeting. I know sometimes 3:30 it's tough for people to get off work, so we'll always offer that at the end of the meeting as well if you can join us when you get off work. If you just state your name and address for the record, we'd appreciate it.
Good afternoon, Council. My name is Steve Van Bloom. I live in the Cameron Oaks neighborhood. I wanted to pick your brain, maybe throw some interest out there. There was something I saw online that I thought would be interesting to have here in Clay. Not sure if that's something that's even an option or if they're even willing to do it to come here or not, but I thought, why not? Let's just throw that out there and see what we get back. Something I saw online was the Florida Man Games. It's a little bit on the rowdy side of things. It's not, I wouldn't say 100% family friendly, but I think a younger crowd would be something that they would enjoy. But I wanted to just throw that out there, see if that's something the council will be interested in, and maybe we can make it happen. Thank you. Oh, well, one last thing. They are in the Tampa area, so when they normally do their big events, so that's pretty far away. So maybe up here in North Florida, people could come up here for that. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you very much. And Teddy, you can get with Alan on that.
Yeah, I'll work with Alan on that.
Yeah, sure. I'm sure it probably pairs well with mustache.
Well, yeah. Well, if you know anything about the Florida Games, I'll just give you a little history. They're based out of St. Johns County. It started there first. Some people involved, Troy Blevins and Pete Melfi, who do 904 now. And so they had it in Francis Field, then they moved it out to the St. Johns County Fairgrounds. I believe it's moved to maybe somewhere in Sarasota area, Lakewood Ranch. And part of the thing is the areas are too small. They need a bigger space. So it's definitely something we can talk to Alan about. I will also add that they are very nonconformist, and so they don't really like to be around government, if you will, because it kind of goes against the theme of the games, if you will. But we can talk to Alan and see if that would be an option for sure, or maybe a spinoff of it as well.
Yeah,
So,
awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. So the Florida Games was conceived about 3 years ago, and they basically, it's a big party, and they have specific events. I'll give you an example, running from a cop with like an obstacle course.
It's based on news headlines.
Yeah,
Florida Man.
Of Florida Man. And so they have, and it's like a 2-day celebration. It's half music festival, half like sideshow, if you will. P.T. Barnum would be very happy, I would say, because it's,
Evading
no, they don't do that. But again, it speaks to more to the commissioner's point about Florida Man and the identity of Florida Man. Long hair, drinking beer and things like that. So, but again, could be an option or maybe a version of it, but it does, I will be honest, it does come with some, as you can imagine, some issues. So that would be something that would really have to be looked at, for sure.
Sure.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, anything else for the good of the group? Yes, ma'am. Oh,
sorry.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Oh, so we also can't forget Veterans Day is next week, and we do have our Patriots Passport campaign ongoing right now. The Patriots Passport can be found under the Things to Do section of exploreclay.com. This features our military sites around Clay County, and it also features all the local businesses that we've curated that have some sort of promotion going on for, like 10% off of military personnel, active duty veterans, fire responders, all of that sort of thing. So just wanted to
Nice,
throw it out.
very nice.
And mine, I was just going to say Christmas parade on the 13th in Keystone Heights. It's going to be our Centennial Wonderland. So it's going to kind of round out our centennial for 2025 for Keystone Heights.
Beautiful.
And then we're also going to have a fireworks display, which I'll put on events.
Very
But
good.
that's
Anything else for the good of the group? Oh, sure, go ahead.
We can go home after this. So I was talking to Justin not too long ago about, kids with special needs. So it's something that's definitely, close to my heart. My son has autism. And I know a while back we had talked about maybe bringing in like Field of the Dream, something similar to that. So I just wanted to throw it out there. I know, I don't know who was really supposed to lead it or whatever, rah-rah it on. But maybe we could, have something like that coming January, February, March-ish sometime. I can tell you, I am part of the community, the parent community, and it is needed tremendously. That's it.
Awesome. Thank you,
That's all I got.
Kyrie. All right, anything else? All right. Thanks, everybody. Meeting adjourned.